Hey, I just finished recording the first video where I was criticizing this YouTuber here for giving very bad advice. I forgot to say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I already said that one, but I forgot to say that he really has no idea what he's talking about. Yoimiya, as far as I know, is one of the worst pyro damage on-field DPS characters, and in general one of the worst pyro DPS characters. Yeah, there's Yoimiya who's, Amber who's worse, but that doesn't matter. I'm talking about in general, she's one of the worst ones. Yeah, Amber's pretty bad, but and worse than Yoimiya, but Yoimiya's still pretty bad. It doesn't say anything about Yoimiya being good just because Amber's worse. I think other pyro damage dealers, yeah, Yanfei's probably worse, but the other ones are better. Almost all of them are better, and Hu Tao is the best one. He says Hu Tao is worse than Yoimiya. So, worst 5-star. Yeah, probably. When we're talking about 5-stars, then definitely. The thing is, why I think it is so critical is because he's actually trying to argue with fallacious arguments, with wrong information, with misinformation, that Hu Tao is worse than Yoimiya and that Yoimiya is a lot better in any kind of situation, at any level of investment. He's saying even Diluc is better since Hyanyun. Yeah, true. That's just so insanely sad. And he also released that video where he said Hu Tao's worse than Yoimiya, or Yoimiya's better than Hu Tao, after the release of Hyanyun. So he's talking about the worst Pyro 5-star and one of the worst 5-stars overall when it comes to Pyro. I mean, one of the worst DPS characters overall when it comes to Pyro characters. And he is trying to argue for her being better than the best character. The damage is not incomparably higher when we go to Yoimiya, go to Hu Tao, but it is significantly higher by a difference of more than just 20% at the same investment at any level. It's really a huge difference, and we're talking about S class versus B class, and he's not only is he not able to differentiate between which is which, or he can't even see which of the two is better, or which of them is in which category. He even puts them into wrong categories. He's not only just saying they're on par, he's even saying the one which is significantly worse is better than the one that is significantly better. We're talking about one of the worst DPSs versus one of the best ones, and he's just putting a reverse order on it. That's why I think it's so critical that he's actually trying to give advice to other people, that he's trying to even give pulling advice to other people. We can now go to his channel to look at him even more. Yeah, this is also sus. I'm going to address some other things that he said also. This is just critical. This entire channel is critical. At least when it comes to Genshin. I don't know about the other games. I don't know all that much, but it's definitely critical what he is doing. This is insane. How to decide between meta versus waifu? He's trying to give you moral decisions on which is of. He's trying to tell you which one is better, moral, waifu or meta. If I know him correctly, he would probably say waifu is more important than meta, because waifu is waifu, and waifu is for I don't know. Well, but who cares? This is just me joking around. I don't know anything. Lolly, this is the other thing that I'm going to talk about. But yeah. Vertical investment. He's talking about vertical investment. As I've already stated earlier in the video that I just made, he does not know how to vertical invest. He has a signature weapon for his favorite characters. He has crowned them. He has rather, let's say, halfway decent artifacts, and he also has constellations. But where you can see that his vertical investment is trash is because he built his Hu Tao incorrectly, and he also overrates constellations. He doesn't know how good or bad a constellation is. He doesn't know how good or bad a weapon is. He doesn't know how high or little investment a C6 banner 4-star is that was released during 2.6 He thinks that it is reasonable to assume a C6 Banner 4-star who was released 1.5 years or almost 2 years after the release. That is not reasonable. He doesn't know what is reasonable investment. Have you showed his Akasha? I haven't. I forgot which one it was. You would have to send it to me again, I think. But yeah, he doesn't even know what reasonable investment is. And he doesn't know how to properly build characters. He doesn't even know what a talent does. I've already looked at the way he's describing talents, the way he's describing his playstyle. You can already see that he doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know how to build characters. He doesn't even know or how the constellations, talents, characters, teams actually have, or what the impact of those teams, talents, constellations have on the actual DPS. He doesn't know what it does. He thinks the 25% pyro damage bonus that you gain from Yoimiya's C2 is more valuable than Hu Tao's entire C1 to C5 combined. He has no idea, absolutely no idea what is good or bad. And then he's trying to give advice for vertical investment, and it has 4.1k views. He actually has quite a reasonable viewer base, you can say. Maybe it's not all that much. It's not as high as Ziox or the Jeff or all the other great content creators. But he has quite a few thousand people who are watching his videos and are actually taking his advice. And his advice is so fucking detrimental because he doesn't even know what the things do. How can you give advice on something where you don't even know the most basic principle of what things do? He probably doesn't even know that pyro damage bonus is the same thing as normal attack damage bonus for a normal attack. To be fair, I didn't know that myself just a few months ago. But you can't do a guide if you don't even know the most basic of principles. If you don't even know what's better and what's worse. This is, by the way, his team. He's a top 1% Zhongli, and that's it. I mean, he is not even aware of what constellations do. Because he argued for C2 Yoimiya is better than C1 to C5 Hu Tao. And he says Yoimiya is better than Hu Tao, especially with cons. He has no idea. Okay, his artifacts don't even seem to be all that bad. But he has DPS Zhongli on top 1%, which makes me question if he's actually aware of what he's doing, because Zhongli doesn't deal enough damage to actually invest this much into him. What the fuck? Top 2% Yaimiko, right? This is a good Yaimiko, probably. Yeah, that one's good. Alright, to be fair, he probably knows how to build most characters when it comes to artifacts, but he doesn't know about constellations, especially when it comes to his most favorite characters. Hu Tao was the one character he criticized the most. He said his Hu Tao deals little damage. Well, what are we looking at? Top 42%. What the fuck is this? He has way too little EM and too little crit rate. He has the wrong artifact set, by the way. He used to have Crimson Witch. Now he's changed his artifact set to Shimenawa's. But why would you do that if Marish the Hunter's still better? And he even plays a team. He uses Hu Tao in a team with Farina, so he could use Marish the Hunter. To be fair, the better characters are actually not all that bad. Those I can't bash all that much. This one, yeah, is probably not bad. Yeah. I guess. It's just crit in this case, that he's building crit and attack. I guess that's all he does. He still has very little EM, mostly just crit. I think he doesn't know how to properly build characters still. Most characters can be used with just their attack being built and crit, and they're still fine if you have enough crit. But even Yaimiko would usually want to have a little more EM. 121 is a bit little. Yeah, so no. That's also why you can see that he doesn't know how to build Hu Tao. Hu Tao is still too little EM, way too little EM. He doesn't know how specific characters are built. He just builds them all the same. And because he is a whale, and I know that because he has C6 Ayaka, he said that he has C6 Ayaka, that he tested with a C6 Ayaka, which you cannot see here. But he stated himself that he has C6 Ayaka, so we can talk about we can say that he's probably around whale level. C2 Nahida, C3 Shogun. Okay, no constellation here. Oh, hold up. We can see that he is C4. Okay, that one doesn't matter. C6 Yuda. He doesn't even know what the best constellations are. Okay, you can say he's pulling just for... Okay, C6, I guess. I guess he's someone who likes femboys and... Just kidding, but still though, no, it seems as if he's just someone who likes femboys and likes to simp for characters in-game. Else I can't explain why he would go for Linny but not for C6 Yelan or anything else. Maybe C6 Farina. He doesn't even have Farina right here. I mean, the reason why his artifacts end up being good is because he has probably a lot of excess resources compared to me, compared to a free-to-play. Because he's waiting. He probably even does Resonant Refresh, I don't know if he does. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But he probably has a lot more resources. That's why his character builds are actually quite decent. They are not bad. But if you look at it again, it's only because they have enough crit. It's mostly crit value. I mean, almost none of them get a lot. I mean, yeah. Some have ER, some have a little bit of attack, but he really doesn't know how to build the characters properly. We can just look at this. Again, Hu Tao is the prime example. Hjalni, I mean, what is this? Why does he have so little crit rate with Staff of the Scarlet Sands? What the fuck? Way too much HP. And also probably too little EM. You would want to have a lot more EM. At least 150, I'd say. I mean, it's alright if you have 119, but still. If you're trying to maximize things, well, that's not the way to do things. I mean, he has proper artifacts. 130 ERO. Hold. One burst every Abyss run. and that one burst per Abyss run is the one that he gets in the beginning for free. Yeah, but what the fuck is this? Yeah, he has some characters that are well built, but those are the ones who only need crit, meaning he doesn't know any other stats other than crit and attack. He only knows which is good. Crit and attack. That's why he isn't able to build Hu Tao properly, because he thinks crit is the only thing that is relevant, and HP. He doesn't know that HP is less relevant than EM. That's why I think him giving advice for which constellation of how to vertically invest, this is the video I'm going to come to later, is just a bad idea. I don't know what he's going to say in this one, but already from the things that I know, I can already criticize him for, yeah, obviously as you can see I'm already criticizing him for 13 minutes straight. Maybe let's look at his advice actually. What does he advise you to do?
Vertical investments. It's something that a lot of individuals actually hear about, but not necessarily understand when or why it's worth it. So with that being said, let's talk about vertical
Hold up. Vertical investment?
It's something that a lot of individuals actually hear about, but not necessarily understand when.
Vertical investment where he doesn't explain why it is good or what?
Or why it's worth it. So with that being said, let's talk about when it's worthwhile to invest in characters more vertically as opposed to horizontally. And this is what I mean when I want to clarify. Vertical investment means you're heavily investing into one single character. For an example, that could be going for a C2, for C3, for weapon.
Vertical and horizontal, okay, I guess.
Horizontal could be instead of investing into this one character to a hyper level or hyper degree, you could instead invest into supports or other units to boost that character up.
Okay, this I don't know. 2x speed, yeah, I don't want to be stuck with this video for too long.
So let's talk. We have a lot of characters in the game, and for the first thing I want to mention is that investment levels do depend inherently on the constellations and their value. A prime example of this is Hu Tao.
Yep.
And more specifically her C1 and
oh no.
Homa. Both of these hold great value for your accounts. But why is that? Well, Hu Tao C1 allows you to just dash cancel as opposed.
He even knows about dash cancels. What the fuck is he talking about? Yeah, no, no. What? But why? Why would you talk about dash cancels now? Oh man, come on, what the fuck? No, this is just stupid.
Now look.
This is just stupid, alright? Hold up, where is she?
Overrated.
This is just... Why is it so...
Honkai Star Rail's light cones are good, and that's kind of a bad thing, because they're extremely niche. You might get some which are just general.
Why is it?
Honkai Star Rail's light cones are good, and that's kind of a bad thing because they're extremely
What? Hold up a sec.
overrated.
He doesn't even. Oh no. Bro says this. Each dash takes around 3 seconds to finish with animation. So was he just intentionally lying to me? He did know that you can cancel his Hutau's dashes. Or not dashes, it's charge attacks. He does know that you can do so, but in order to be able to argue against me, he just said it takes 3 seconds because he was hoping for me to not know that you can cancel, that you can dash, cancel, or jump. What kind of absolute buffoon and idiot is this? He is lying, intentionally lying. He either really doesn't know that and thinks only with C1 you can dash cancel, or he actually tries to lie to me just to be able to win an argument. And that is someone who's trying to give advice. He's trying to force his own opinion upon you when arguing with misinformation, hoping that you don't know that it's misinformation. And he's aware of it, which would be even worse. Because he knows that his takes are wrong, he's just trying to convince you of wrong information because he hopes that you just don't know about it. That is the worst case. And another bad case, the other possible case, is that he actually doesn't know about the fact that you can cancel without dash canceling, which is one of the most fundamental things about Hutau's kit. So he either lied to me intentionally, or to win his case, which is wrong overall, or he's trying to, or he just really doesn't know anything about a character. Alright, fine. Those are two horrible possibilities. Or he's just rage baiting, which I don't believe he's doing, else he wouldn't write these two passages. Yeah, alright, this is already where you can see that he's a really bad YouTuber and content creator. Either he's inconsistent with his own claims in order to convince you of wrong information, of misinformation, of building characters not correctly, not in a correct way, or he is just really oblivious of what you can actually do. Yeah, okay.
Goes jump cancel, meaning you can get more charge attacks in her rotation before her skill runs out. Staff of Homa is the only weapon that really synergizes with her statistic 3, giving her HP, attack based on HP, attack when she's lower on HP, and then crit damage. Even though the attack...
It's not the only weapon that's good on her, though. It was released 2 months ago, so... Again, we can go back to this one. Battle Pass, alright. We have, for quite a few months already, this weapon, which gives you EM and crit rate. Oh, the funny thing is he didn't even mention EM, meaning that he doesn't even know that EM is good for Hutau. He doesn't even know about the fact that EM is one of the most important stats on Hutau. He didn't mention Ballad of the Fjords, so again, either he is intentionally not talking about this weapon, or he really doesn't know that Elemental Mastery is a really good weapon. So he's either intentionally leaving out information, relevant information, quite important information, or he's just not aware of the fact that important information right here exists. He's not aware of this important information, which again is something that no content creator should ever have. Neither lying nor being unaware of obvious things. This one is obvious. It's alright if a content creator doesn't know about less obvious things, but even then they should usually know about most important aspects of a character, because that's why they are a guide. They are a guide. They're supposed to help you explore things that aren't as obvious for a character. That's why it's important for them to know that there are other options which are around the same level, or maybe even better or worse, depending on the situation. And Ballad of the Fjords can be better or worse in certain situations than Homa, but is almost on the same level as Homa. And if he leaves that out, that information, why would you? And if you don't know that, do better research. This is your job as a content creator, as a guide maker. Either research your material, or don't lie.
attack can theoretically be oversaturated because you get so much of it and you convert your HP into attack. It's
You don't need... Yeah, Staff of Homer is still not as important.
still a great weapon for a vast majority of characters.
It is the best weapon for Hu Tao, but it's not as huge as he's describing it.
Even Zhongli, it does the exact same thing. So in this instance, the vertical investment on Hu Tao actually pays off, especially early on, because you get a 20 to 15% damage increase from Staff of Homer.
He even knows what the damage increase is.
And then the exact same thing from C1. Everything
He knows the Oh my god, he's lying again! You have to know. This one right here. Alright? Oh god, oh god. He knows that it's a 20 to 30% damage increase. He knows about it. This one was released 2 months ago. The video that I just showed you earlier that I also again removed was uploaded 2 weeks ago. And he responded 2 weeks ago, alright? So he was responding with information he should have already known about this. I was saying, and he was saying that Yoimiya's C2 is better than Hu Tao's C1. What the actual fuck? This is a flat 20 to 30% damage increase, while Yoimiya gains 25% pyro damage bonus on a crit hit on top of the already existing damage bonus that she already has, which would in the end factor out to be less than probably 5% damage increase overall for Yoimiya's damage. Maybe if we are generous, 10%. He knows that, I hope. And he's still calling out Yoimiya's elemental, Yoimiya's C2 to be better than Hu Tao's C1. That is... He's either intentionally lying or he again doesn't know. No, he is lying. He is lying. He's intentionally lying. He knows about it. 25% and 20 to 30% is basically the same thing. You aren't saying, you can't say, yeah, Constellation 2 on Yoimiya is better than Constellation 1 to 5 on Hu Tao. Because Hu Tao Constellation 1 is already as good as Constellation 2 Yoimiya. Or around the same level, according to him. Even if you were to think that those 25% would be a flat 25% damage bonus, and not one that has to be calculated with the other damage boni. So, even if he didn't know about it, it would still be a higher damage increase as the C2 from Yoimiya, and he still said C2 Yoimiya is better than C1 Hu Tao, up to C5. Then again, he probably knows about that, and he knows that the C1 that Hu Tao's C1 is more than 4 times as efficient probably as Yoimiya's C2. So again, he's intentionally lying to me after I criticized this video. Alright, fine. Makes sense.
Isn't really worth it. What about prime example?
Even if this is the worst thing that a content creator can do.
Compared to isn't worth it. Well, let's use Yoimiya or even Albedo as an example. Yoimiya's C1 isn't really good. Her C2 is about, I think, a 15.
He even knows that his... Oh my god. He's saying C1 is very good on Yoimiya. Yeah, he's just gaslighting. He's just... Okay, no, I can't do that anymore. I have to show it, actually. I was hoping that I could just talk about it, but again, I have to... Maybe so that it also doesn't sound as if I'm just making things up. He isn't. I'm not making things up.
Overrated Genshin character.
Oh, hold up. Oh, but hold up, my bad. I just realized something. I just realized one thing. Is it even the same person? I don't think it's the same person. No, it's not. Oh, my bad. My bad. It's not even the same person. Oh, I'm stupid, I guess. It's not the same person though. Huh. Well, that changes things up a lot. Caught in the crossfire. True. Well, then never mind. Then this is actually not incorrect. Well, still, which is still incorrect is that Hu Tao is still a lot better than Yoimiya. Okay, then my bad. I never said anything. I was basing most of the things on the comments. Huh. Well, not everything though. My bad. Then I'd say my last video was 50% incorrect, 50% correct, because 50% was still just on the video. But then again, I mean, it would still be fitting.
20% damage increase. But why is this an issue? Well, none of these are on par with the likes of a Hu Tao constellation or a Raiden constellation. At C2 to C3, Raiden's damage in total.
Okay, hold up. I have to retract some of my claims that I just already mentioned. I'm not going to edit any videos. That's why, well, it's kinda bad if you don't get to this point. Well, you might think that I'm talking dog shit. But alright, fine. It's fine. There's still other points that are to be addressed.
Character. Hu Tao, she's strong. Yes.
Okay, he said that Hu Tao's
And with
strong.
Homa, she's even better. Alongside C1,
Alright, yeah, okay, no, now things make sense.
she actually becomes a really good unit. But at C0, even if we're giving her Staff of Homa, she's not that much better than your...
Well, but that's incorrect. That's, okay. I know now why I thought that this was the same person. I know why. And that is because his arguments are just as nonsensical, or his, at least the things that he's saying are just as nonsensical as this comment. Okay, never mind. He wasn't lying. Bro wasn't lying. At least not when it comes to this one, because this wasn't him. This wasn't him. This is my bad. This is not him. Okay, that's why he says C6 Ayaka, and I wasn't able to find C6 Ayaka right here. Well, that is kind of embarrassing. Well, still though, if you say Hu Tao is still not all that much better than Yoimiya, it's still wrong.
I understand people like to say Hu Tao has a theoretical better AoE than Yoimiya.
And that is also still something that holds true. Hu Tao still does have way better AoE than Yoimiya, especially with Plunge Hu Tao. It's still true. So what he's saying is still wrong.
Let's be honest here, Yoimiya is way easier to play.
That's, again, wrong.
Has better advantage against any aerial opponent.
Well, that one is basically negligible, because it depends on which enemy you're fighting, whether Yoimiya is better or not. And even in the situations where Yoimiya is better, you wouldn't even need to use Yoimiya. You could just use Double Hydro and would still be fine against the Thunder Manifestation and against the Robot Chicken. You can just shoot him down with, again, Yelan. So who cares?
Thundering Manifestation, for example.
Yeah, that's just a bad example, because you can kill him with Double Hydro. So, and Double Hydro is usually the team core in Yoimiya teams and Hu Tao teams.
Less constellation dependent is less risky to play.
That's
because yes, if you're gonna play Hu Tao, you do want a shielder. So either way, you need one for both of them.
Okay, this makes sense now. Alright. I wasn't able to tell what he meant with that. He said if you have a shielder for any of them, if you want to play any of them, you need a shielder anyways, but that's still wrong. I understand now what he's talking about, but it's still wrong. Hu Tao doesn't need a shielder. It depends on what you play, how you play Hu Tao, but in most teams and in her best teams, Hu Tao doesn't need a shielder, while Yoimiya does. And if you don't play Yoimiya with a shielder, well, in that case, she's harder to play than Hu Tao. That's the thing. So, regardless, any points that I mentioned regarding this video, they were all correct. Any points that I mentioned towards these comments, well, they are addressing then the other guy. I don't know who this other guy is. He's stupid. He knows little, but alright, fine. Maybe this guy knows a little bit, more than I gave him credit for, but still less than he should know. It's fine. It's fine though. At least he knows how to vertical invest. I was basing my assumptions on him not knowing how to vertical invest, on the fact that there was this guy with those comments saying that he is vertically investing in different kinds of ways. Well, yeah. And I thought it was him, and then it would then he really wouldn't know how to vertically invest. But hey, fine. That's fine then.
Doubles. This means that instead of going for Engulf and Lightning, you can instead go for Constellations and get much more value out of them. So instead, what you're prioritizing when you want to vertically invest into a character and what turns out worthwhile is the value of the constellations either hold for the character themselves or your team. Nahida is a perfect example of this. C2.
Okay, fine. He actually knows how to vertically invest. That's good to know.
For certain teams or defense decrease for other teams. But when Nahida
Yeah, this one seems fine.
the question is, well, why is this worth it? Or is it worth it if you don't use Dendro teams? Well, it shouldn't be solid anywhere. Realistically speaking, if you want to instead go for C2 Nahida instead of C2 Raiden, even though you're getting 60% defense ignore and getting a defense decrease, it still helps out Raiden's damage tremendously. In fact, it helps out with Raiden and Yai. And comparatively speaking, Yai C6 is a 30% defense ignore, whereas Nahida C2 is a 30% defense decrease.
Okay.
So it technically saves you value and saves you money, or free jump in the long term. And the concept of vertical investment realistically comes from the idea that instead of getting a roster of units that you can and may use at some point in time eventually, you can instead prioritize a select few. Maybe your Electro DPS is Raiden, your Cryo is Ganyu, your Hydro is Alon or maybe Farina, and then your Pyro is Money. And once you get these select elements, you, instead of investing in a wide variety of characters to help them out, you hyper-invest into them only, getting their signature, getting their constellation, to the extent where these individuals alone
Yeah, that's the C6.
can carry. The benefit of this is these characters hold much more value long term. The problem I think a lot of individuals are facing right now is that let's say hypothetically you have a character like Ganyu. Ganyu is great, but the downside is at C0 and at R1 or even R0, if you don't have her Amos or whatever her best boat is depending on the team combo you're using, she's going to pale in comparison to the likes of a Dendro-oriented team or a aggravates high
Okay, that's actually a good take.
bloom team. And this does mean
This I can hardly argue against. Ganyu is not bad, but she does pale in comparison to other teams. She is indeed quite a step down, maybe two, compared to the best teams that there currently are. You can make her function, you can use her properly, she can clear Abyss, but it's rather hard compared to other units. Hyper Bloom is easier to play and probably deals around the same damage or maybe even more, depending on which Hyper Bloom team you're playing than Ganyu. If you're talking about the basic 4 stars only Hyper Bloom team, hold up. Consisting of only 4 stars, as I said, or maybe not that many 5 stars, then alright, yeah. Then Ganyu might deal a bit more damage. For example, if we were to talk about, let's say, oh, hold up, let's say double Dendro. We can go with Collei, Hincho, Dendro Traveler, and Cookie. This team is not bad, but this team is probably going to deal less damage than Ganyu Melt or Ganyu Freeze if you play it properly. But if you compare it to better teams, which I sadly don't have, let's just imagine that Tainari was Alhaitham. If you were to play this one, this team right here, or with Yelan even, or no, actually Farina and Alhaitham on Marish Hunter, and then you were to use this team, this one's definitely a lot stronger than Ganyu. So with low tier Hyperbloom teams, Ganyu can still compete, and low tier Hyperbloom teams can also beat Spiral Abyss, but it's harder to do so than compared to other teams. It's doable though. So what I'm saying is, yeah, Ganyu, it's true, Ganyu isn't that good of a unit, and yeah, he's correct on that one.
that the characters you like and love may instead be phased out as damage ceilings and floors increase. So instead,
Yeah, Ganyu's constellations, I'm not even sure. I think only with C6 really starts to be worth. Ah, schon mal? Ah, okay.
a good way to mitigate that is to hyper-invest into a unit. Take
Schon mal? Oh, hau da.
a unit you like. Get them constellation, because the constellation generally improve them.
Ah? Okay. 啊，不需要，不需要，不需要。我觉得热，我觉得热好。呀。What up? Key 放下来了吗 ？OK， 呀，那怎么放 ？OK， 呀。Being shilling that way.
Or go for a weapon that's good on them. Hypothetically speaking, Aqua Simulacra is great. It may not be a dramatic damage increase, but it's a good one, especially depending on the team comp you're using.
Die也坏了 Türstopper 坏了 啊 Ja 好的 Will sowieso不太用 We just hate on both of them now, or what? Yes, on both. On both. I mean, one is less worse, and less bad.
What are some other prime examples? Nuvalet. Nuvalet gets wonderful value out of every constellation he gets. The same thing can be said for Farina. Why is that? It's because Farina as a character character does more things as it supports with constellations, and she's much easier to reach her max potential as it supports with those constellations. You don't want to go into a situation where you're looking at characters and you're like, well, I use somebody like Kokumi every now and again. I want to invest into her. Because even though
The fuck? Kokumi?
you can love the character, you don't get more value from Kokumi's constellations because a lot of them are either A,
Yeah, true. Alright,
damage-oriented, or B, healing-oriented. You aren't getting much damage out of Kokumi to begin with, and her healing is already enough to where you don't need more healing in a cons. Instead, you prioritize and support constellations. A primary perfect example of a good support constellation is Kazuha and his
Kokumi's also a supporter, though. Well, no, I don't know what Kokumi's constellations are. But up until to this point, I don't think that there's all too much to critique about those characters, about his tips. I was expecting a lot worse because I thought his comment, this comment which I thought came from him was a response from him. I thought it was his response. Was very bad. But now, if I listen to this one, alright, he's not wrong.
C2. Why? Because you're getting a 200 element mastery buff to your entire party, and that makes sense for reactionary teams. But what are some other great constellations if you're looking at them? If you like Zhongli, you go for C2 Zhongli to get a shield every time you ult. This makes it burst more.
I mean, but in which teams would you actually use Kazuha for reactions? Yes, international, but what other teams do you really need his constellation to for? That's also something that you might need to address, for example. I think up until this point, all the tips weren't all that bad, but you need a bit more context. He was saying, yes, you get EM for Kazuha, C2, but in which teams is it actually as relevant? Zhongli cons. Yeah, true. Surely. Yeah, if he isn't going to criticize them, reaction stream, yes. Video reactions, kinda. It's like maybe not as much of reaction with my face. It's just my own opinion on what they're saying. I mean, Kazuha is good at international C2, but other constellations, I don't even know if you really need that all that much. Well, you can use it in Farina forward vape with, let's say, Kazuha, Bennett, Hyunryung, and Farina, then it's not bad. It's not bad in international. And what are the other things? I mean, Mono Pyro wouldn't need EM. Mono Hydro wouldn't need EM. You can use him in a weird Hyperbloom team, well then it would be fine, but I wouldn't personally go for C2 video hating, true. I wouldn't personally go for C2 for Kazuha, because I don't think that it's worth it. For example, C1 Hu Tao, it changes her playstyle and makes it a lot more comfy, a lot more safe, and there's also a huge DPS increase in almost each of her teams, in almost every team, except for Plunge Shooter, which is maybe a bit not as important. What is bro yapping about? About the things I'm commenting on this one. True, people who go for C2 Kazuha are dumb. I mean, okay, hold up. What's your take actually on it? I am not 100% certain, but I don't think that it's actually as important. I mean, what other teams? Or you can also use Kazuha and double Hydro, but then, I mean, the 200 EM for Hu Tao is not bad, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem as relevant.
Decent, actually. Makes it
Maybe you should just say in which teams it would actually make sense, because Kazuha is used in Freeze, which is basically Mono Hydro with Neuvillette. In Mono Pyro, yes. There he shines exceptionally well. He's also good in International, yeah. There his C2 actually does make sense, but who plays International? Not all that many people, I think. Then there's Plunge Hu Tao, which is a single specific team, exactly the same as before, for International. They're not bad teams. I think C1 and C2 are not that good cons, but it's for a very good unit, so it's okay. But far outclassed by things like Nahida Farina, Yilan C2, etc. Yeah, that makes sense. That's also why I think you need to put it into perspective. He's just calling all of those constellations are worth it, and he's saying all of those and he isn't even ranking them in any way. He's just saying this is worth it, this is not worth it, and that's why it's worth it. But he isn't saying which ones actually are better. Bro, why are you guys yapping about Kazuha things? Yeah.
first free.
We're talking about stuff. That's why we're
So you
yapping.
get the petrification and with the shield. And as much as people talk about is C6 not working with Hu Tao, realistically speaking, it does help out because you're getting the increased HP and the decrease of it over time. And by this I mean it makes great usage of the martial sets that you may use on Lenny, Neuvillette, and so on. Vertical investments rely on the character having either A, good constellations, or B, a great weapon. And a lot of characters do. Lenny's weapon is amazing. Side note weapons. Scarlet Sands is amazing for him, it's great for anybody else, and it's wonderful for the best in slot characters like Zhang Ling. Instead, don't go for constellations that, or characters specifically, who are con dependent. Xiao is a good unit, but he's a C6 or worse character. None of these increases value, so he doesn't get much value.
Okay,
He does
that's...
not scale well.
I mean, I think it's not bad. Now, personally, I don't think that I'm going to continue to watch the rest of the video. I think this video is not necessarily bad, but it's also not really good either, because he's just saying the most basic and obvious information. He's just saying go for weapons and constellations that have more value for your account than for a single character. Go for constellations that are nice for more teams and that are more supportive, other than maybe main DPS constellations that are maybe not even all that helpful for other teams. C for Xiao, true, let's go. I mean, it is... But those are the most basic information that everyone should know about. I mean, fine, it's fine if he mentions it, but that shouldn't be the main point of his video. And it's 6 minutes in, so I don't plus 100% defense ease. I mean, he's 6 minutes into the video in, and all he's explaining is, yeah, don't go for the bad constellations, go for good constellations. Good constellations are the ones that bring more value to more teams. I mean, he did give a few examples, but that's just not enough. He only said the most basic things, and then he only gave you a few examples and only put up 2 classes, and that's too little. If he truly is going to make a full video of it, he should also explain further into detail why, for example, a specific example is so much better than something else. Short of video kick. Was? You should explain exactly why he did explain some things, but you should maybe go into further details with examples why one specific constellation is good. He just said in synergy with a different character, but that's a bit little, in my opinion. It's fine, maybe. Maybe it's also fine. Link. Where the fuck? Nope. Reels Pop CJ, nope. Not gonna watch that one. And he should also maybe at least put more than 2 categories. He just said there are ones that are not worth it, and there are ones that are worth it getting. He's talking about constellations and weapons. Well, yeah, but there's still a difference. There is still a difference between those that are actually worth getting and those that are only fine additions. Because there are constellations that are truly a waste, like C for Xiao. But that is not on the same level as maybe, I don't know, C1 Xiao. C1 Xiao is at least somehow worth it. He should at least give a ranking which one is better or worse. You can still say, alright, C6 Farina, every constellation for Farina till C6 is usually worth more than Kazuha C2. Why? Because Kazuha C2 is still rather niche when it comes to his constellations. It's not niche, but there are still not as many things that it's usable for. And that's, I mean, most people aren't whales, most people aren't high spenders, most people are low to mid-tier spenders or free-to-plays like myself, and even then there are constellations that are more or less worth it. For example, one of the most important constellations would be Farina C1, because it in general makes all of her teams a lot better. You get more fanfare stacks, no matter what teams you're playing with. You start with already a buff that for which you would have to work for if you didn't have C0. And you can also gain your buffs quicker. No, actually you can't. You can gain more stacks, meaning that your overall buff can also still increase. C1 Kazuha kinda nice. Glad. I mean, it's kinda nice, yeah, it's fine, but I wouldn't put it in the same tier as, for example, Farina C1 or Nahida C2. You should also mention that Nahida C2 only makes sense if you do Hyper Bloom and Bloom reactions. Other than that, it doesn't make sense. You would have to put a bit more perspective. If you are going to recommend a constellation, you have to say why and when it is useful. You can't just say, well, it's going to be more useful in more teams for Hyper Bloom. You should also say, yeah, okay, if you're not going to play Hyper Bloom, if you're going to play aggregate spread teams, it's not going to do jack shit. Jack shit, I mean. Maybe C1 might do a bit more, but also not all that important. While, for example, C1 for Farine also does already quite a lot. Because you get a lot of fanfare stacks already. You are already getting a buff just by using the burst, not by healing or taking damage. And you can get a higher buff. That's why Farina's main function as a buffer and also damage dealer and Hydro applier, but mostly as her unique function for buffing the entire team with an insane amount of damage percent, just gets further increased, and you can get more, and you're going to start with more. Guys, some hoe bitch decided to build their Xiao, and now I'm top 2%, so every resin goes to the million now. Good luck. Good luck. I would strongbox it. But yeah, fine. Do whatever you want. Or maybe C1 Neuvillette also makes sense. A lot more sense than C2 Kazuha. They are all in the category worth it, but they're not in the category should you get or could you get as free-to-play. As a free-to-play, for example, I'd say C1 and Signature for Neuvillette would be something that you could consider, because it's such an insane increase for your damage, but also for your quality of life. While Kazuha's increase is only something that I would recommend for at least mid-tier spenders to high-tier spenders. That is a huge difference. While this one is worth it, it's not worth it for anyone who has limited resources and doesn't spend all too much on this game to get his C2. Because while it is nice, while it is an increase, it is not all that good compared to other ones, to other constellations. That's why you can't just say worth it and not worth it. It's something that is completely missing in this video. I'd say it's fine. He is not giving any false information. He's not misinforming you. But what he is doing is giving you too little information that he should give you. Trash set, nah. Hold up, what am I? What's my Xiao? Imagine not being top 1%. Imagine not being top 0.5%. Imagine not being top 0.5%. That's kinda bad. That's kinda cringe. Imagine not having at least 2,700 roll value on your Xiao. That's just cringe, man. Imagine not top 1% Farina in 17 categories. Imagine actually having to grind for something and not just being a goddamn lucker. Alright, I think that's enough. Anyways, I was going to react to some other shit that bro was doing. Alright, I'm not going to criticize this one too much. Maybe I'm going to look into a different video of his. Let's say another Genshin. That's not even all that much Genshin. Okay, I thought this one looked like Lumine. But alright, he's not talking about this one. Waifu or meta? This sounds like a bad video. 3k views is also not that much. Maybe I should go for a Nahida Ruin Dendro. Here's how. Oh, that. Come on. Okay, I'm going to maybe look at some videos that have a few more views. Okay, those are actually all. Hold up. This one is exactly the same. No, never mind. It's fine. Are there more Genshin videos? Dendro Ruin Genshin Impact and here's how. Oh, that's just stupid. I don't even want to look at those things. Okay, his more viewed videos are right here. I think he gained his subscribers through shorts, right? No? How did he get 14,000 views? 14,000 subs. That's interesting. I mean, if I compare it to my own views are like... Hold up, popular? Oh, actually, now I see why. I was kind of confused. Makes sense. What other tips does he have? What makes a 4-star good in Genshin? Okay, then doesn't matter. I'd say Chivalrous and the problem with most 4-stars in Genshin. I think that one probably doesn't even seem to be that bad.
Chivalrous, in my opinion, represents a big problem and the potential of Genshin's 4 stars. Right off the bat, I want to say I don't have a problem with Chivalrous herself. I like her design. It's fine. But while I personally hate some of her idols...
Hold up.
3 minutes.
I built Shiori in 3 minutes. Nope, Anthony Chen, I don't need to criticize him. I know him already well enough. Okay, now.
Chivalrous, in my opinion, represents a big problem and the potential of Genshin's 4 stars. Right off the bat, I want to
I don't see what he's talking about. Chivalrous C0 is already very nice.
I don't have a problem with Chivalrous herself. I like her design. It's fine. And while I personally hate some of her idols, specifically any of the noisy idols, I just hate them for any character that eats or drinks during their idol animation. I still think
Yeah, you have a problem.
that overall as a character, she's at least interesting. And I think
No,
that's more
fine,
than said than
it's
most characters. And I think that is more than what can be said for the vast majority of newer 4 stars. Looking at the character roster here, we had a lot of 4-star characters to be released, but the primary
That's true.
best ones have always been since launch. Bennett.
That's true, kinda. but hold up. It's kinda true what he's saying. Indeed. Not entirely wrong. But actually I'm going to... Hold up just a sec. Okay. So 4 stars. Yao Yao isn't trash. She isn't the best character, but she also isn't trash. Okay, Kirara's kinda cope. Lynette is also not very good. Charlotte is fine. Chevreuse is fine. Garming is fine. Those two are actually very good units. I know C6 dependent kinda. Garming sucks before C6. Chevreuse gains insane power with C6. But I mean, for example, Charlotte, Yao Yao, they aren't constellation dependent. They are good 4 stars. Mika sucks, but it's fine. Layla is alright. Fauzan is, yeah, C6 dependent. That's probably the thing that he's going to criticize about Genshin characters, about the forces. Collei isn't even all that bad. Okay, Candace sucks. Dori C6 is fine, but also only at C6. Kuki is alright. Okay, Heizo, you don't have to talk about him. Yunjin sucks. But I mean, there are always characters that suck ass, and there are always some that are very good. I mean, okay, Kea isn't all that bad. Amber sucks. Lisa isn't all that bad. Barbara is actually only alright because of her Hydro element. Razor, I mean, if you want to go to the Jeff with his Thundering Fury team, I mean, I guess. But it's not the best team and not really recommended. Did he criticize my waifu Candace? Candace sucks. Yeah, she's bad. I'd like to see her dealing significant damage. Or being a significant support in any kind of way. If you can show me that, well then I'm going to concede. But else, I am going to stand my point. Candace nuts fit. Hey, I saw that, my friend. I can see that. You know that I'm recording, right? Okay, Xiangling. Yeah, okay, he's talking about the best characters. Xiangling, Beidou, Xinqiu. Okay, Ningguang sucked ass. Razor sucked ass. Amber sucked ass. Barbara is also very bad. Noelle is only fine with Farina and still, even at C6, not even that good. Chongyun also isn't even that good. Sucrose is fine. She's definitely one of the better characters. Fisher is also insane. It's true when he says that it's mostly the Forsters at release that were the best ones. It's Bennett, Xiangling, Fisher, and Xinqiu, and maybe even Sucrose as well. And some are fine, some are still shit. And if we compare to other characters, I don't think that there's all that much of a disparity. We can say Rosaria is around the same level as Kaya, probably a bit better. Yanfei is definitely better as Ember, but worse than Xiangling. Also worse than Diluc, I think, but maybe around the same level. We have Diona. She's not bad, I'd say. She's not good, but when she came out, she wasn't bad, since she was one of the only shielders in the game. Yeah, there was Noelle. Hold up, are there different characters? Ningguang's shield sucks. Beidou's shield C2 is, I mean, fine. Diona was one of the first dedicated shielders in the game, so for her time she was alright. Build Candace full EM. True. Bloom Candace. Xinyan sucked ass, alright, that's a fact. Those two are fine, but they're not really all that good. Sayu is also, I mean, for the time Sayu wasn't the best character. And she still isn't. But she's also fine, I'd say. She isn't good, definitely. She's under average, below average for 4 stars, but still, I'd say she's not all that dog shit. Kujo Sarah with C6 is quite alright. Before that, she isn't all that good. Toma, before Dendro, was ass. With Dendro, he became a very good virgin character. Goru is just a dedicated support, just like Kujo Sarah. You can't really criticize dedicated supports because they are only dedicated supports. You can always see Kujo Sarah, Ryan Shong, Goru, Arataki Ito, Faruzan, Wanderer. Those are... it's hardly to criticize them because they just fill in a niche role, and this is what they are supposed to be. You also have Yunjin, Shenhe, those are also dedicated supports, more or less. Can't really... Yeah, Yunjin isn't really good, but it's a niche, and in their niche they're fine, except for Yunjin. Guru, Kujusera, and Faruzan are all fine, and very good at C6. Yunjin kinda sucks. That one I have to say. Kuki is very good. She didn't use she used to be rather bad during 2.6 during her launch, I think. I mean, during her release. But with Dendro, which followed soon after, she became one of the best 4-stars. So, just saying, the 4-stars that have been released, then especially later on, for example, Yao Yao, very viable in many teams. Layla as a shielder, better than Diona even. Farazan, dedicated support. Candace sucks again. Collei is fine. Hato rather sucks. Dory is also maybe fine. Kaveh is bad. Kirara is usable. Lynette is bad. Mika is bad. Fremine is bad. Charlotte is good. Shivers is very good. The thing is, yes, indeed, the characters aren't the best ones. And yes, some of them are constellation dependent. Dory, yes, true. Indeed, Dory. But I wouldn't call it really all that much of a problem. Because they are still forces that are quite good, that are also being released. Yao Yao isn't bad. And is not constellation dependent. Shivers is also not bad. She's also very good. And that adds C0. You don't need her C6. C6 makes her even better. But you don't need it. So whatever he's going to criticize, I can already say that it's probably not complete what he's going to say. That his point is not finished. That he is missing something.
Xiangling, Xingqiu, Fischl, and even if we're extending this onwards, Diona. At best, the
Diona doesn't belong to the best ones, and she also wasn't there from the first patch. Sucrose is better.
notable 4-star characters have been Kujo-Sara, Goro, Yunjin, Kushinobu, and most of these characters
Those are dedicated supports, and Kuki is one of the best.
suffer from the specific use case scenario in that they're only good either with one specific unit or
Yeah, but those are just niche characters. They're supposed to be supports. There are also other characters who aren't just supports and who are also alright in their own field. For example, Burgeon Homa is very competitive, as well as Kuki Shinobu and Hyperbloom, even better than Homa usually because, well, Hyperbloom is just Hyperbloom. It's more reliable to hit those Hyperbloom core, those Bloom cores with Kuki skill than with Homa's Elemental Burst. But they are still very good for 4-stars. The same goes for Collei.
in specific
She's maybe not all that good, but Collei is also fine. Her Elemental Burst has quite a high Dendro application, and she's also pre-C6 already fine as a Dendro applier in a Bloom or Hyper Bloom team, usually Hyper Bloom, but you could also play Bloom. That's very niche though.
team comps. Obviously, Kujo-Sara was the start of this. The nice
Collei, if you were to play Collei, you would usually pair it with the Dendro Traveler so that you have like this one huge wave of a lot of an insane amount of Dendro cores, and then switch to a phase where you only have Dendro cores from your DMC, and then later on again for Collei. I mean, Collei can be fine, right? You can play Candace with Yelan. Can I play Candace with Yelan? You can play anything. If you want to, you can play Yelan, Xingqiu, and Hu Tao, and it's going to work. The thing is just you're not going to switch to Yelan. I mean Candace. Not really a synergy there, but I guess in Hyperbloom, yeah, that's also an option. You can always play teams in which you just have a 3-character team core and you're not going to use the 4th one which you want to have there. Or you could also play her in okay, no, you can't. You couldn't. Never mind. I never said anything. I talk about Candace DPS. You can, but it's going to be bad. It's going to be worse than a lot of other options that they are. It's not recommended. Not under any circumstances. If you wanted to, Candace, Farina, Bennett, and Hyenyun, then you could, well, mono Hydro Plunge. Since Bennett provides attack buffs, and Hyenyun provides plunge damage buffs, and Bennett, and they both heal you to gain stacks from Farina, you could use something like mono Hydro Plunge with Candace, but it sucks. Bennett, she scales from HP. Yeah, I mean plunges. Plunges always scale from attack. Regardless.
60% crit damage bonus you get for having a electro character, or specifically once you get to C6. Obviously, Kujo-Sara was the start of this. At C6, she gives you a bunch of crit damage for electro units, while she's useful for ride and hyper carry teams. And Goro has the opposite effect, where yeah, it's good for Geo team, but the vast majority of the time, you aren't running Geo characters, because even the most recently released Geo unit, Navia, doesn't incentivize running her with other Geos, unless it's somebody like
that makes
Joanie,
sense. But that's only Navia being a clown.
units, or for his crystallization near his pillars, or just Albedo for easier crystallization. Ignoring that,
Yeah,
we've had a bunch of, at least in my opinion, lackluster 4-stars. I'm not saying they're god.
Yeah, okay, lackluster 4-stars, but that's the thing again. What about lackluster 5-stars? He's talking about 4-stars being trash, but what about 5-stars? We can also go for the other 5-stars that were released later on. Those, the standard banner 5-stars all have more or less sometimes risen and also fallen with certain characters or elements being added, looking at Kuching, for example. But Venti is ass nowadays. Klee isn't all that good. She's fine, but not all that good. Tartaglia has been beaten in quite a few areas. Ayato is just one of the worst banner 5-stars there is. Albedo is the worst banner 5-star there is. Yuda is physical and therefore bad. Ganyu is not up to meta nowadays. Yoimiya deals so little damage and she's an on-fielder main DPS. I mean, there are also quite a few bad 5-stars. Sino is maybe not a bad 5-star, but he's also rather lackluster compared to maybe some other characters like Nido or Nahida, which were released right after his release. Wanderer, well, with Farazan is fine. Or Dea also sucks. I mean, yeah, the recent 5-stars have all been not bad. Chiori is just a better Albedo. Yeah, she's fine, but she's also not all that good. That's the thing. He's criticizing 4-stars being bad, but well, the 5-stars have also oftentimes been very disappointing and often even worse than quite a few 4-stars, quite a few 4-stars that we have. So criticizing those wouldn't. I mean, it makes sense, but if you compare to the other ones, it's exactly the same development. Benechi's look, Candice has one team. Nido, Yaoyao, Candice, Nahida, everything else is copium. True.
Awful characters, but I am instead saying that these characters have no real use case scenario outside of a very few specific and niche teams. How many of you actually use story? And I don't mean
Yeah. How many of those people actually use Albedo? I think the amount of Albedo users... I think even less people use Albedo than Dori, because Dori is just a funny character who is riding on her little jello, her Jin, whatever. And her normal attacks look funny, at least. While Albedo just sucks and his normal attacks don't look good. So I'd even think that Dori users, there are more Dori users than Albedo users. I'm not sure of it. I don't think that this is definitely the case, but I could imagine that this could actually be the case. I think that they are very close, at least. That's why I think, well, what about the other banner 5-stars that have been released? There are also some who suck just as much as those 4-stars are bad.
I mean use her just because she's a character you like, because you can do that for anybody on this list. I mean use her because she's a good character in terms of what she offers for teams. And if you use Candice, Layla, Kaveh, Mika, even the Nets, and Charlotte, these are units who, yeah, can do their jobs
Oh god, my internet.
good enough. But I think that the bigger issue is that the standard units, the big four,
The big four, alright, he's calling it the big four.
are so powerful that it's incredibly difficult to in any way, shape, or form move past
That's true, that's true.
them. Yeah, you can say I don't want to use Bennett and instead use a Diona, use a Sayu, for example. That's perfectly
But the thing is, those characters only start to shine with higher constellations. They're already fine before they are C6, but Xianling usually wants to have C4 at least to be very good. Bennett at least wants to have C1, ideally C6, or at least C5. Hintyo also always wants C6. They are already fine at C0, but they gain so much value later on, and that is the only reason why they're so strong. And the only reason why also everyone can assume you can assume most people to have C6 of those characters if they have played for quite a long time is because when the game was released, there were not as many banner 4-stars than there are now, compared to now. So when you were to pull on the banners in the earlier days, there was first of all a smaller character pool that you could choose, that you could lose your 50-50 to when it came to the 4-stars on the banner, or in the standard banner, there were also in general less 4-star characters. Therefore, you were more likely to get, for example, a Hintyo copy or a Xianling copy. And at the same time, because there were less 4-star characters, you would also rerun them a lot more. And if you were to pull on the regular, you would always get the same 4-stars. Therefore, you have C6 Hintyo, C6 Xianling, C6 Beidou, C6 Bennett, C6 Fischl, or a lot of people are going to have those. Especially those OG players, the ones who played at release or around the time of release, are going to have quite a few Constellation 6 4-star characters from the earlier days, which also skews their perception of why those characters are so good. If you were to play with a C1, with a C0 Bennett, with, for example, a C1 Xianling and a C1, I don't know, Hintyo, then you would then you would also say, well, yeah, they're maybe a step above the average, but they're not going to be as insane anymore. You're not going to say, wow, they're definitely popping out completely. I'd even go as far as to say that Chivalrous in certain situations can even be better than some other characters that we are usually we usually have come to known as the best Forsters, like Sucrose. I think there are also situations in which, for example, Chivalrous is better than Sucrose. Sucrose is probably overall better at C6 than as C0 Chivalrous, but that's just a C0 Chivalrous, and she still sometimes gives my team more value than my C6 Sucrose. And Sucrose is already seen as one of the best Forsters. And she, I'd say, at C0 might even give more value at okay, actually, no, I don't know if I'm capping now. But I think at C6, she is a very strong contendant at C6. And we usually just assume C6 Xianling, C6 Sucrose, Xingqiu, C6 Sucrose. But what if you don't have that? What if my Bennett is just C5 and not C6? I can definitely feel the difference. I know the difference between C3 Bennett and C6 Bennett because I have both accounts. One with C6 and one with C3 because I have never gotten enough constellations. And I played this game for 2.5 years constantly and very actively. What if you don't get them? And especially what about newer players? They don't get those characters. Even if you do get them, probably low constellation. What are you going to do? It's going to impact their performance severely. And then just calling them the best characters is maybe still correct, but they are not as much better than other Forsters when they are on the same constellation. For example, a C6, I think C6 Bennett is less less mandatory than a C6 Kujusera for Ryan. I'm not sure on that one though, but I would believe that could make sense. I would have to ask Froschbolili though, if that is true. Anyhow, it makes... Agreed. Okay, nice. Perfect. So, in specific situations, if we actually do assume C6 for all of the Forsters, they can even outperform the typical... our typical top 4 Forsters. Guys, Kaya best Forster. Yeah, true. Facts. I mean, he isn't bad, but you don't get any constellations for him. Real.
Be fine, but I think that if these standard 4 can't be nerfed, and they can't, then instead, why not make them be the standard?
And that's also, I think, something that a lot of content creators get wrong. A lot of content creators say those Forsters are the absolute best Forsters. Well, they are probably overall the best ones, but you often just neglect the fact that you are assuming C6 for all of them, and that not all of them have C6, and that C6 is rather hard to get nowadays. And that the C6 is the one that is making those characters as broken as they actually are. I mean, if you have C6 Xingqiu versus C0 Yelan is probably still better when it comes to DPS. She doesn't provide any defensive utility, but C0 Yelan with her signature weapon is probably still stronger than C6 Xingqiu. And C1 Yelan is easier to get than C6 Xingqiu nowadays. You just have to get C0 Yelan once on the character banner and on the weapon banner just her weapon once. That is easy enough compared to getting the 4-star from the huge character pool that there is. Rate my Hu Tao, she's not fully built, don't go roasting. Okay, I'm not gonna roast, trust. I can do that. If she is she on your hold up. I will roast. Let's go. Hold up. Who are you? Ah, fuck it. It's egal. It's egal, yeah. True. Hast du immer noch nicht? I don't know. Did you send a request? You didn't even send the request yourself. Why would... Okay, this is a question that I have. Why would you assume that I was going to send the request if you yourself didn't do so either? You can't expect other people to do the same thing if you aren't doing it yourself. I usually just go... Okay, C2, yeah. Wow. I usually just go with this one. I am going to act the same way as other people are going to act to me, or yeah, I act the same way as other people act around me, and I'm also just going to assume that they're going to act the same way as I do. I'm not going to expect other people to act differently to approach me if I don't approach them. That's why, you know, just saying. I thought we have each other because we played together. Yeah, no, we don't. That's good. That's also really good. That's not bad. Weren't you saying that you were top 1? Tau. Ah, yeah, I forgot. C0. Ballad of the Fjords. Okay, that's a good weapon. My bad. Too little EM, I can already see that. And too much HP in comparison. The Sands would be alright if EM and HP were flipped. The Goblet is fine. The Circlet is pretty good. The Flower is very good. And the Feather's also pretty good. None of the pieces are bad. They're all very acceptable. They're very good. But you have the wrong main stat, and your artifact set is also very wrong. 2-piece Gladiators is very bad for Hu Tao compared to other sets. Minus 36 crit rate, true. Minus 36 crit rate because, well, you don't have the Marish the Hunter artifact set. EM better? EM better. A lot better. A lot better than HP. I mean, it's a lot better if you have this little EM. If you had 200 EM or 250 already, then it would be debatable. Then you would have to look which one is better. But at 100 EM, definitely EM sense. Definitely EM sense. I can also give you a comparison. My Hu Tao. This one doesn't seem all that good, does it? Well, it's worse than this one. I've tried both. This one's better. This one's worse. Even though this has EM, valuable, and 2 crit rolls. I mean, over 30, I think 31.1 CV. This one has only 14 CV because it has HP. And main set Elemental Mastery, this one's better. When it comes to roll value, I don't even know which one's better. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 6. Yeah, it's basically around the same. Attack isn't even all that valuable, so it's around. Those attack percent are around the same value as HP, and EER is basically useless. This one has around the same roll value, but the rolls in and of itself are less valuable, so to speak, in the sense that we say, yeah, it's the same roll value if everything is on the same scaling, but crit is more valuable than HP or EM. And in that case, because HP is less relevant than crit, this piece is still better when we just go with the substats. But because EM is more important here on this part, this one's actually better. Just go EM, fuck HP percent. True. Okay, where were we? I forgot. Here.
And for way 4-star unit should be, instead of the exception to the rule of where 4-star is, because every new 4-star has to contend with the buffing capabilities of Bennett or the off-field damage capabilities, either one of these three.
That is kinda true. But only kinda.
Character is going to look poor by comparison. And even if we're going to new and more recent, at least interesting units, Friendly and the Nets were interesting because they had Usia alignments at the very least. And this was something we didn't really have abundance of because...
Oh, and... Oh, God. And also something that made Fremine a lot more interesting is that he is a Shatter character, which we never had before. He sucks, yeah. Shatter is a physical reaction, but this is something that we have never utilized. That's why he is more relevant and more interesting. Lynette isn't really interesting. The Oja, new Moja alignments actually are, in my opinion, very boring and have almost no impact on my gaming experience at all. I think it's more important to actually have those mechanics used. I mean, you don't really use Uja and Numa alignments, except for maybe some enemies, and even when it comes to those enemies, it's actually not. It doesn't even make that much of a difference. That's why I think that doesn't make sense. That's not really as relevant. Fremne is a bit more maybe interesting because you can use him in Fridge with being able to deal how's it called again, blunt damage, not plunge, blunt damage, which is more interesting. While Lynette is rather boring. Let's say that. Unless you have like 300 EM from buffs like LG, don't even think about HP sense. Rather have the Speer and gain EM from it. True, still got EM though. Still go EM though. Yeah, true. Okay, hold up.
But outside of that, in terms of what they offer you, Lynette doesn't excel in any specific category as an annual character. She's not a buffer
Yeah, Lynette is bad. Lynette is one of those ass characters.
like Faruzan. She's not an individual unit to provide you with heals like a Sayu or a Jean, and she doesn't have crowd control that's really useful, at least or on par with somebody like Sucrose. And
Yeah. But I mean, from time to time there are going to be ass characters. You can't have one character being as strong or even stronger than the already existing ones, because that would be insane power creep. You have to have some units that are maybe below others. I mean, you don't have to necessarily have them, but if every character that is now released is as strong as Bennett or Hyunling or Hintyo or Sucrose or Fischl at C6 with their C0, because we're most of the times comparing our low constellation 4-stars with our with our benchmark 4-stars at C6. Our benchmark 4-stars at C6 shouldn't be our benchmark 4-stars. Our benchmark 4-stars should be something like low constellation 4-stars that are still alright. Like Bennett C1 could be our benchmark 4-star. Or maybe, let's say, Hyunmin C2. Those are things that you can reasonably assume for people to have. But you cannot assume people to have C6 Yunjin or C6 Goru. Okay, that one's actually not the ones that we're benchmarking it for. But if we are going to assume C6 Hintyo, then that's just not fair. Because this one I only got because I spent 160 pulls on his banner. And I got really lucky. I was lucky with 160 pulls on his banner. So you would not only have to pull on his banner, you would also have to pull a lot and get lucky to get a C6. And I still didn't get a C6. I only got 4 copies in 160 pulls, and I was even relatively lucky with the banner 4-stars. What I mean with lucky is I had an even distribution of 4-stars that I got, and I rather won out my 50-50s when it came to 4-stars, when it came to the 4-star 50-50s, and I also got quite a few 4-stars. I didn't get only 1 4-star per 10 pull. I got quite a few. So that means even if you are relatively lucky, even if you are spending a lot on the correct banner, you aren't guaranteed to get C6. I only got 4 copies. Still 3 more left to go. That was 160 pulls. That was the things that I got over 3 months of farming, of grinding, for the one specific banner. You cannot reasonably assume a C6 and benchmark this. That is just inherently incorrect. Therefore, if you are going to compare a C0 Chevreuse to a C6 Hintyo, obviously that doesn't make sense. You have to then compare them on the same levels. Then you would have to compare C1 Chevreuse with C1 Hintyo, and then you could say, okay, then it suddenly grows, then suddenly the gap is less wide than it used to be.
I do think this is a bit of a bad thing, because I do think the legitimate question you have to ask yourself in regards to newer 4-star characters is, are they worth investing into? Because the resources you put into building up a Charlotte, a Kiara, a Kave, or a Yao Yao could instead be spent buffing up your already good characters, whether they be 5 stars or 4 stars. And by that metric, why not just invest into better and more well-rounded 4-star characters?
Well, that's what everyone does.
Like a Diona, like a Beidou, because on the off chance you do use them, they're going to
Well, Diona is bad.
excel in what they're supposed to do. In my situation,
She used to be alright, but she's not good anymore. Because there have been better characters who fit her role better. Hold up. I put Lisa and Hyunling in my Akasha, by the way. Oh, sorry, oh god. I forgot to read that. Hold up a sec. Yeah, this is now going to be criminal. All top 1. Let me guess. Yeah, fuck you. What's this? What the fuck? Come on. What? Is 3,370 roll. Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry, mate. Okay, I see. And Lisa? Lisa's also top 1? No? Where? Oh, top 1. Yeah, alright. Yeah, alright. I see. I'm sorry, man. What the fuck? Yeah, okay. Sure. Oh, hold up. That's Yaimiko, not Lisa. That's Lisa. This is Lisa. Yeah, I guess. Why not? But yeah, it's like comparing a character with a really good build with a character with a bad build. My Navia friendship level hit 10. Took me now from when she got released till yesterday. Well, yeah, that's around how long it takes. Around a full patch to get one character. A bit less than a full patch. I'd say around 5.5 weeks. If you are not spending extra resin. That makes around sense. About sense. Anyways.
We had to release characters like Goro, who were good for Geo units, but we then didn't get any Geo units to help him. And so he fell off because...
Well, we have Ito. That's the only character who needs him.
Unless you're using Ito, you have no real reason to use this man.
Yeah. That's also the reason why Goro was released. Polter had 0 pity, so like it was pretty fast. I guess Chingling feeds dogs for friendship, so that's slow for him. I used to do that with one friendship team, and I only did that like for a week. I don't know how you can even still remember that, but I didn't do this on a regular basis. I only did this for like a week, and then I said, yeah, this is dumb. Takes me way too long.
You Jin buffs normal attacks, but how many of you are generally using that outside of the few you are Mia main? And I'm not saying she's
Takes way too long to do.
a bad buffer for Mia. What I am saying though is, prior to C6, or at least a high prior to a few constellations, she's not necessarily a larger upgrade over Bennett. And that's fine. Sure, I understand. She is at least a side grade or alternative to Bennett. But my question at that point is, why does it take constellations to reach that point? Bennett at C0, or especially at C1 and above, is an exceptional unit.
Yeah, alright, that's fine. Bennett's C1 is actually quite important.
I don't think 4-star characters should be instead locked behind the concept of them eventually getting constellations to make them greater. You needing a character.
Yeah, I also think that having most of a character's kit locked behind C6 is also maybe a bit trash. I also find that it's a bit bad if the C6 is actually locked behind all those 4 stars. I mean, if the ability of a 4 star is locked behind C6, but I mean, Bennett's C6 is quite strong. Not as strong as maybe some other characters' C6s, like Farazan's, which is completely mandatory actually for her. Maybe not mandatory, but very, very one of the most important things for Farazan. If you don't have Farazan C6, she's basically unplayable. You can play her with C2, but prior to C6, she's not really all that nice. You wouldn't want to play her. Hintyo's C6 though is very strong. I mean, his C1 is basically useless. His C2 is fine. His C3 is fine. No, actually, his C3 is also not as important. Only his 2, 5, and 6 are really all that good. Especially C6 is the most important constellation for him. So again, it's also locked behind this C6 when it comes to him. Okay, Xianling has a bit earlier, hits her spot a bit earlier, C4, but again, C4 is relatively far back. You have to get 5 Xianlings or 4 additional Xianlings, except from the Abyss that you already get her in. Get her from, I mean. You need 4 additional Xianlings. I mean, what else is there? Fischl. Fischl indeed is very strong, but only with C6. C6 gives her like a 30% damage increase. That is huge. So again, C6 locked behind C6. I mean, she is already very strong before she reaches C6, but it is the C6 which makes her all that strong. I mean, Kuki is also not bad, and she is not constellation dependent. Less constellation dependent than even the other characters that we have. Yeah, her C2 is very nice, and would be nice to have, but it's not even all that important. You could use, in her downtime, you could even just use her burst for a bit more electro application, or who cares, actually that might just be a bit cope, but her C2 is not all that important. It's fine already at C0. She's already fine. Charlotte also at C0 already perfectly fine. Yeah, I have her. Okay, never mind. I have her C3, but she's already fine at C6. I C6 at C0. I mean, Noelle also. Okay, she's one of the release 4 stars, but not the ones that we benchmark on. But she's also only just viable with C6. What is Chevreuse? Chevreuse also at C6 she becomes a beast, but pre C6 she's also very good already. All the constellations that follow after her after C0 are helpful, but not mandatory. And especially when we look at Chevreuse, it is a nice bonus. This still for a bit? Yep, still all recording. I'm yapping a lot. Nobody's ever going to watch this, but who cares? But yeah, so what we end up with is It's not even entirely true what he's saying. Yeah, quite a few are locked behind their C6, and also quite a few new characters, especially those dedicated supports. But it's just not all of them. And it would be untrue to say that it's a new thing, because it is not a new thing. Even old characters used to have their, or a vast amount of their damage potential locked behind their C6. We only think that they have them, or we just take it as a given because most of us already have them C6. Again, this is not a fair comparison.
Who is exceptional at C0, but then gets constellations that dramatically improve her own abilities or the buffing capabilities of her kit is fine. But the fact of the matter is, for the individual who she was meant to buff up, that being Yoimiya, she wasn't a good upgrade until you had cons on her.
True.
And given the rarity of Yunjin on banners, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Now we're seeing the release of units like Traverse. Unit 2 can buff specific reactions. And the only other character who at least is vaguely similar to this is Nilo. And I do think Traverse does Nilo's, at least intention, better than her. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone's going to defeat the fact that Nilo's super blooms are expanded. What's the actual name of them? Nilo's bountiful cores are good. They're extremely good. They're extremely powerful.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest drawback is that your team had to consist of only Dendro and Hydro to get any of the buffing potential of her kits. Traverse as a character, despite being a 4-star, does do her job well. She buffs them when all party members apply on Electro, but she can still heal, and she can still, to a degree at least, buff you regardless. She's going to heal you. She maybe won't buff your characters, but she's buffing nearby Pirate Electro characters. It's not a system that
Okay,
requires you to only have
where are you
powerful
going with
characters.
this
This is
point?
it can work in other teams, not necessarily as an upgrade, but as a side grade and a viable unit to work with. I don't mind this, but then my question is, for all the individuals who have set teams, maybe you're running a Vape team or a Melt team, or whatever the case may be, the more specific a character's goal is, if your goal is only to buff melt reactions, if your goal is only to buff any more damage when it's infused with G or crystallized, whatever the case may be, then at that point you have to be either extremely good in that regard, or it's just not worth it. Bluntly speaking, Mika was meant to buff physical damage, but I don't think many of you are actually going to ever use Mika.
Okay, the thing about Faruzan is, yeah, Faruzan C6 is also very important for Faruzan, but again, it's not mandatory. I do play Xiao without a C6 Faruzan. I have a team. One of my teams on the other account that I have is Xiao, Faruzan, Farina, and Xianyun. And because it's triple force, triple Anemo, and I have two Fav users, actually only, Farina and Faruzan, and I just use full ER on Faruzan, it's still fine. You can use C2 Faruzan just fine in Xiao teams. It's not mandatory. It's true that it is very helpful, but it is not mandatory, as he also describes it. Even when it comes to those dedicated supports, you don't need C6. You are highly incentivized to use them at C6, but you are not actually required to do so. And my Xiao still can output enough damage. So, yeah, it's true. It's kind of true, but this C6 debate, it is quite annoying, and it's annoying that a lot of 4-stars do gain quite a lot at their C6, at their 6th constellation. But the thing is, it is not as mandatory as people make it out to be. It's just not true. Build them full full ER, and it's already fine. For example, for Razan. It's not perfect, but it's fine, and therefore playable, and not as he describes. Actually, hold up, that's fine.
Yeah, he's a good healer, and yeah, with Constellations he becomes pretty fine. But we didn't get many physical units. We had Eula for 8.
Yeah, this is just... Mika was also just released for Eula so that Eula enjoyers can play her.
And then the only recent update to physical we realistically had was Freddy. Whether you use him or not, I do think it's still an issue in that a character's, or specifically a 4-star's value is solely dependent on the niche they intend to buff.
I mean... And why is that?
If Goro buffed Vaporize reaction, he'd be a lot more popular with characters like Hu Tao.
Yeah, but that's... because you already have enough units that can buff... Okay. Hold up, I forgot to actually do it just like this. The thing is... Yeah, he would be more popular. But then what about the Geo characters? The ones who play Geo... His point is actually kind of nonsensical. He says, yeah, if they were to be able to... if you could apply them for a wider range of teams, well... just make the unit good in every team 5-head. Yeah. This is a bad argument. He just says, well, the characters should be good in every team. No! That's the point of them. They were created to be niches. You have niches in this game, and they were created to support those niches. That's why they are niche. You don't have to play them if you don't want to, but they were just created for the very purpose of being niche. That's why they usually only rerun on the banners that they are supposed to support. That is why Goru only runs on Ito banners, because Goru is only a support for Ito. That's why he only does run on the banner. He is... Oh, hold up. He is only supposed to help Ito. That's why... His kit also just helps Ito. There is no other reason for you to pull him. It was intentional. And it isn't detrimental in any kind of way. Because that's just how... Okay. I mean, why not just make a character that's good for every team, right? Why not just make a free 4-star that you can get C6 for free that is insane in every team? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yoimiya, D-Luke, anyone, even a Vape Bennett. But as it stands, buffing geo reactions, or buffing only physical reactions, is incredibly difficult when you don't have these characters to make them excel in that regard.
Well, the thing about it is, I think I see what he's talking about. He's saying that those niche characters are only buffing the niches which are not all that popular. And because they're not all that popular and they only are buffing the niches that aren't popular, those characters automatically become not popular themselves, or rather, they are also not even all that useful because they are only buffing those unused niches. But then again, who cares? You have them to buff those niches because else no one else would play this niche. They are the supporters for a niche. They aren't supposed to be popular with other team variations. They are only supposed to make this niche that they are supporting better. They're supposed to make the niche that they are supporting more popular so that you can play those niches. They aren't supposed to do anything else. You can say, yeah, this character is bad for my vape teams. Yeah, that makes sense because he's not supposed to make your teams vape better. He's there to make your teams make more physical damage. Else your Yuda, who already is not as good of a unit, would be even worse. You need Mika to make Yuda better. You need, how's it called again? Goru to make your Ito better. Because if you were to... Okay, imagine this. You have Ito and no Goru. Okay, what's his team? Zhongli, Chiori, and Bennett. Wow! Great supports for a defense scaling character. I must say, I'm impressed. Zhongli is a neutral character. He can buff anything. He always has this resistance threat, so it's not anything for him. Bennett is for Hyunling, for those vape teams. He's for the Pyromane DPSs, or also those reverse meld characters if you want to. It's not really recommended, but you can do that. If you look at it again, in the end, alright, in the end, what are those supports usually meant to support? Chevres is only meant to support overload teams. Hintyo is only supposed to support... Okay, no, he's not only supposed, but he was only supposed to support vaporized teams and freeze teams. Freeze teams we can even actually kind of ignore because freeze teams are also maybe a small niche. And what did they do when they realized that freeze is too much of a niche? They released a character that supports freeze. Shenhe was released, so that freeze is being used more often. They are only there to support their own part. Bennett is there to support all of the attack scalars. Yeah, that is quite a huge range, but in the end, if you use him in, for example, a Novelette team, he's going to be useless. Because he's not supposed to help them. He isn't supposed to do so. I don't think that it has to be mentioned, but if your character is not supposed to help anything else, of course they're not going to help anything else. Yelan, Furina, Xianyun. Hold up. That... Hold up. What are you talking about? Is this the best team for Yula? Oh no. Regardless.
Sure, at least a few of you older players remember, Kubishinobu was god-awful because she didn't really have a job when she released.
Yeah, she didn't have a job. That's kind of sad. For Ito team without Goru. For the Ito team without Goru. But actually, Kuki also had her niche, so to speak. It was in a... You could say she was alright when you had a very offensive electro-charged team without a healer and you wanted to have a healer and not just Hintyo and Beidou. You could use Hintyo, Fischl, Kuki and... I don't know, Beidou. And then you would even have heals on top of your resistance shred. Damage reduction. Because damage reduction doesn't make you heal up the lost damage. Maybe Hintyo's rain swords, but that is a minuscule amount. For the Ito team without Goru. Ah, yeah, right. True, true. I mean, it's probably fine. But yeah. Oh, hold up. Oh, that was the wrong one. That's the correct one. My bad.
I don't think it's fair that she was bad and then got good later on. I think she should have just been released with Dendro because it made no sense to release a 4-star that you could have been excited about, but who didn't really have a role until like a year later on. But besides that point, we are in a position right now to where I don't think there's enough value offered by newer 4-star units to make them worth investing into unless they're hot. Lynette is cute. I like her a lot. But bluntly speaking, I would rather use any other Nemo character over her.
Yeah, true. Same.
Mika is cute.
No, hold up. That's just a bad take. Mika's not cute. Mika's ugly as fuck. He's the most ugliest character in the entire game. Please remove him from this game. He's worse than Paimon. Okay, that's maybe exaggerated, but no, Dory's better than Mika. Dory's Mika is no. That's insane. Mika. He's so ugly, it's insane. You can't even put it to scale. That's insane.
English VA is depressing, but how many of you legitimately ever use him? Even as somebody who likes to use characters like Razor and Fremi, I don't find many scenarios in which
Fremi. Why is he saying Fremi?
I'd use Mika. Now don't get me wrong.
It's just something that I just noted. It's not something to criticize about, but I think it's weird.
Mika's kits are better than I like Bennett's because I don't like using Bennett's burst in Overworld, and Mika is
Hold up.
many scenarios in which I'd use Mika. Now don't get me wrong. I like Mika's kits better than
He likes Mika's kits?
I like Bennett's because I don't like using Bennett's burst
Oh, he has multiple kits. Crazy. Not just a
in
kit.
Overworld. And Mika is a bit more flexible with that buffing capability, but it's still not necessarily a fair comparison. Not many people use TR. Not many people use Kale. Layla, Charlotte, Dory, Kave, and Candace don't really have situations in which they are really good at.
Yeah, Candace, I can agree. Candace was actually dog shit. She was actually subpar. I think she should have been better. Before Candace was released, I was always hoping for a Hydropole arm to come out. For them to release a cool on-field DPS Hydropole arm. And then Candace came, Hydropole arm, and she was exactly the opposite from what I was expecting. She's a support and sucks ass. Oh, I'm talking about a Hydro Foster, by the way, as well. I was hoping for a Hydro Foster because at that time we only had Hintyo and Barbara, which is way too little Hydro Fosters. Mona's also nowhere guaranteed, and else you would have to get a banner 5-star. Yeah, that's the thing. And Candace is just insanely inflexible. I mean, she just sucks. I don't know a single team in which she's actually good. I mean, actually good, not in Nido Bloom. I mean, Nido Bloom is a good team, but you're just slotting her in to have Nido Blooms, to have a bit more Hydro application, but you could slot Hintyo in there and it's better.
Or at least excelling in. They are fine, but I think especially with constellations, they shouldn't just be a fine option. The potential for a 4-star to not come home is something I think all of us recognize. At the very least, it's something you might be acquainted with if you try to...
Yeah, this is the cursed banner where I got no Bennett and only one Chevreuse after getting Yoimiya, who I didn't want.
Well, maybe I Kujo Sara. I didn't
Whom I didn't want.
Kujo Sara until I had C1 Raiden and already had Yamiko. She has avoided me since the launch of the game. And so if you're going to
Yeah, this is something that I can understand. This is critique that I would also mention myself. They should make a system where you can get those 4-stars guaranteed at some point of investment. Because the fact that you cannot ever guarantee a single 4-star, a single specific 4-star, the fact that this is the case is just something inherently bad about the wishing system. Yeah. This is actually something that I fully agree on.
Individual who wants a specific 4-star, maybe you want to buff a specific overload team, or maybe you want to buff one specific character you really like. It can be incredibly difficult to get that. And I think a 4-star should reflect that. Not necessarily be better than a 5-star, but be good at their job, and good enough
Yep, that's true.
to where you feel comfortable investing into them. If I'm looking
They shouldn't be... Yeah, that's also true. They shouldn't be actually better. She is actually good there, though. I'm not sure what you're talking about right now. So... yeah. I'm just going to talk about something else then. Meanwhile, Candace in Nido. Oh, really? Oh, then never mind. My bad. I don't know. Still, though. Who cares? You have better options. Yeah, it's true. 4-stars shouldn't be better than 5-stars. Necessarily. At C0 especially, they shouldn't be better. But I think at C6, they should be around the same level as C0 5-stars. Because C6 is just so hard to obtain. Getting a C6 4-star character requires you to get 7 copies of them. And getting 7 copies from them We can actually even calculate the average. I think I heard somewhere that you get your a 5-star on average somewhere around 60 pulls, because you can also get early 5-stars. Yeah, so let's just say you usually, or 65. Let's go with 65. On average, you are supposed to get your 5-star at 65. So you can get a banner 5-star, you can expect to get a banner 5-star before you get 100 pulls. On average. On average. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. You can also need, there might also be a chance that you need 150, 160, and 170 pulls. But there's also the chance that you can get it at your first 10 pull. That's why it almost evens out at around 90 to 100 pulls. Then we can look at the 4-stars that we get from the same banner. I'd say you get around 1 4-star. Okay, here I'm actually uncertain. Oh, hey! Hey, I found something nice. The probability of getting a specific 4-star character within X amount of pulls is approximately 1 minus blah 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 to the X. This means for 60 pulls the probability is 82.5%. Okay, with this we are not going to calculate the expected value, but a probability. Let's just say we want to have the probability to be at least 80%. That you get 7 actually, no, never mind. Who cares? This is too complicated. Let's just say on average you get, I think it's reasonable to assume that you get a 4-star every 7 pulls on average. Or every 8 pulls. Then you would have to take this times 1.5, because you could also win the 50-50, lose the 50-50, then after that it's guaranteed. So it's around 12 pulls. And then you take that times 7, and you are at around 84. Oh no, actually, hold up. You could lose 50-50, and you could also lose the 30% chance, the 1 in 3 chance. So it's actually even, again, times 3. So it's times times 7 and times 3. So times 21. 12 times 21. Well, isn't that a nice number? And then you can calculate, on average, you could expect, if you expect to get 1 4-star every 8 pulls, you could expect your specific 4-star to get their C6 in, hold up, 21 times 12, I have no idea, but it's 210 plus, hold up. $252. That was slow. 252, yeah. Calculating in a foreign language is harder than in your mother tongue. 252 pulls. So the expected value would be that. Or we could also say we subtract a little bit. Let's say you get a 4-star every 7 pulls. Well, let's say every 6 pulls you get a 4-star. Then, on average, you get a banner 4-star every 1.5 pulls. Every 9 pulls. 1.5, what the fuck? Every 9 pulls. Now, hold up. Hold up. My bad. I just miscalculated something. No. We have, let's say, expected pulls 8 pulls, yeah, times 1.5, because you can't lose 50-50. And then you have the 1 in 3 chance. Alright, then you have to, okay, never mind, my bad. 36 times 7. Oh no, hold up, that was correct. 36 times 7 is the same. Oh, my bad. Let's say then 6 times 1.5 makes 9. 9, then you have to win the 1 in 3 chance. Times 3 would be 27. Times 7 again would be 140 plus 49 makes 189. So even if you were to get a 4-star on average every 6 pulls, you would still need on average around 189 or 190 pulls for a specific 4-star to get them C6. Which is twice the expected amount of pulls that you would need for a C0 banner 4-star. That is why I would say a C6 4-star should be around the same strength as a C0 5-star, banner 5-star. Simply because, or maybe even stronger, simply because they require around the same pulls, or even more. The expected value would be even higher, even if you were already assuming a very advantageous position, right? An advantageous or fortunate situation in which you get way too many 4-stars. 1 4-star every 6 pulls is unreasonable actually already. And even then it would be twice as expensive, or almost 3 times as expensive if you were to assume a more realistic number of 8 pulls per 4-star.
Looking at the standard banner here, all of these characters are possibilities. Ignoring the standard ones because nobody ever gets them, there's a pretty high chance.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I've already argued
you
for.
won't get the ones you want. If you're searching for your last Homa, or maybe your last Shinyan, it's incredibly difficult, almost impossible to ever guarantee that, especially if the banners they appear on aren't ones you want to summon on. But for the inherent risk associated with trying to pull for a 4-star, I personally don't believe many of the 4-stars make it worthwhile. Because unless you're somebody who has the ability to pull for a C6 4-star, which is difficult for anyone, then at C0, the vast majority of these newer 4-stars underperform. Maybe they're not good at anything in particular. Maybe they're just side grades. Maybe it's scenarios.
Yep, true. Yeah, that's kind of true, but not entirely. I think not all of them are going to underperform before C6, but I do agree that those who do underperform at C6 should perform better even pre-C6, because as already mentioned, C6 is so expensive and also sometimes very unlikely to get with a reasonable amount of pulls, that you should make them also pre-C6 already quite good, as it's just not bad, not all that nice. But that's baiting strategy, the baiting marketing strategy, whatever. Their marketing strategy to bait you into, well, spending more money for the forces that you like. Okay. So, this was one thing. Now I think it's time to address a less reasonable side from him. I mean, his information in the videos are fine, but I think he's often addressing too little things and not going too deep into details as he should be as a content creator, as someone who actually makes guides or talks about those topics. He's just... I've already mentioned it earlier. I think he just doesn't do enough research or doesn't think enough about the topics. Or maybe he should make his videos a bit longer. Maybe he's also just trying to make it as condensed as possible. But in those cases, I would either make it condensed in the sense that you are just talking about a single aspect where you go in depth into the topic, or that you maybe just make longer videos. I think if he's forgotten those aspects or didn't know about those aspects, that would be bad. If he's just intentionally leaving them out because he wants to have shorter videos, well, that's also bad, because you shouldn't make your videos too short. No, I don't mean too short. You shouldn't just leave out information because you think your videos should be shorter. A few things that he said are correct. They are indeed correct, but there are also quite a few things that I would criticize. It's kind of, in my opinion, like the training guide. The training guide is going to oftentimes give you quite a few tips that are reasonable, that are also correct, but they are not enough by far. Huh? Yeah, die. Okay, hold up. Another thing that I was going to address was actually the other thing that Frosh was showing me. I mean, there are actually quite a few videos of him also recommending wrong characters.
Underrated Genshin character, Razor. Even
Oh, no. Now the critique comes. Hold up.
though he had his time to shine back in 1.0, a lot of people forgot about him. He's physical, but also has access to new Dendro-oriented sets, especially if you want to use him with characters like C6 Bennett, Xingqiu, and Nahida. He's the closest thing to shirtless we're getting, and he's probably packing. So being hot aside, he's a fun character, has the energy recharge mechanic that Sino realistically should have had, and is adorable. He also introduced us to Andreas, underrated Genshin.
And how is he underrated then? I mean, this is something that I would critique about his shorts. I think his longer format videos are fine in the sense that they're okay. They are surface information. I don't know if you call them that. They are just yeah, they are fine, but it's not enough. It's like for the average Joe, it's fine, but I think usually if someone watches these contents, if someone actually vertically, for example, if someone were to, for example, actually vertically invest into a character, that person is probably a bit more in-depth into the game, and that person is probably not going to appreciate the information that this guy gives. Because this guy's information is just, oh yeah, do know that the things that you get should be worth it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's just talking about surface level information.
Character. Razor. Even though he had his time to shine back in
Yeah, and those shorts are actually just bad information. It's just untrue.
the top 5 males in Genshin, I'd let Star Rail me.
Oh, wow.
Razor. I don't know what's
Yeah, okay, I
in
see.
those pants, but honestly, I'm interested. Gaming. I can't decide if he's a top or a bottom, but either way, I'll take it. Showing
What the fuck even is a top or a bottom?
Yun. Honestly, it'd just be interesting to see how
Okay, that's
Underrated again?
hold up. I'm talking about theory crafting, not about that
characters. The
stuff.
Traveler. Honestly, you
Okay, that's true,
might
kinda.
not use them in gameplay unless they're Dendro, but the design is great. Aether has midriff. Lumion has armpit. Aether
Oh wow, bro's talking about the sexual appeal.
is caked up in every scene he's in.
Yeah, he's just talking about sex appeal. That's oh god.
And honestly, that braid gives you a lot of options. So
How is that underrated though? Okay.
I feel like we all would. Underrated Genshin
No, we wouldn't.
at the top.
He literally, also North. Bro has the worst. I mean, if we are just looking at it from a fantasy perspective, alright, fine. If we're talking about real life clothing, his style is shit. What the fuck is this? What is this cringe ass fucking cape that he's wearing? Why would you expose your fucking midriff? You don't even have a goddamn six pack. What the fuck is this? You don't even look fat. That just means that your muscles are so diminished that even with a low body fat percentage, you can't see your abs. What the fuck is this? Bro looks shit as fuck. I don't know what he's talking about. He's not even talking about matter. Oh, hold up. My bad. My bad. Sorry, but
Overrated
hold
Star.
up.
Here are the top 5 Genshin girls I would rail.
No.
Overrated Star Rail character. Here are the
He-
top 5.
I mean,
Here are the top
okay, this is actually a good transition to the next part that I'm going to
5
go to.
Genshin girls I would rail. Official. Her standard outfit, she can get it any day. Xiangling.
Okay. 14, by the way.
You can see these thighs and tell me you wouldn't.
She's 14.
Kuki. She's hotter than Yelan. Diona.
That's not a joke, by the way.
Cat girl. Lynette. If I get her, do I get her brothers too?
The fuck?
Is it a buy one get one free? I'm about to make a pet store in my house.
Yeah, that was just corny and cringe as
Here are
shit.
the top 5 Genshin.
Diona was not a joke. And that's why we have a nice transition to this video. I don't know if Frosch is still here. But I don't care.
Here's something I think I don't just will ever understand
Okay, this is now going to be criminal.
about the HSR or even Horrorverse community games in general. Like, I want to, full disclosure, I want to rail Lynx like Clara.
I do not know who Lynx is. But I do know that she's probably underage.
Give me Bailu. Like, have the
Baidu is this little child, right? You know who Baidu is? She looks like 6 years old. He wants to rail a child in the body of a 6-year-old. Yeah, just for reference, right?
the cast, not even half the cast, like 25% of the cast. I want to rail. And then in Genshin Impact, it's the same with Diona, Nahida, etc. Like, y'all have seen the shorts. If y'all haven't, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to say to you, but like, yeah.
Diona and Nahida. He's not joking.
I want to fuck a bunch of the characters. So too, I mean, you can see that ass. Might
Silver Wolf?
don't know what to say to you.
Yeah, I don't even know. Some of them, I find this so weird, actually. How is it that he says Is he like omnisexual? Does he like want to get railed by everyone? But he is kind of leaving out just the, let's say, mature-looking women. That's all of it. He says it to basically all of them, except for actually adult-looking women. He says he wants to get railed by Razor. Where the I don't have Razor. He wants to get railed by him, but he also wants to rail Chi-Chi or something, or Diona. He wants to rail... Canonically, she's like 9. And physically, she's like 8. Bin noch da. Let's go. What in the actual fuck is going on? He wants to get railed by... I don't know, he says railed. Why am I saying railed? He wants to... do it with... What even in the hell? And he also wants to do it with Linny. Linny, fanboy, okay, I guess. Lynette, same, also wants to get railed by her, or wants to rail her. He wants to get railed by Razor, alright. He wants to do it with fucking Diona. Holy shit! What's wrong with him? I mean, why everything? Wouldn't it make sense to at least just stay in one niche? Or what was it, Cookie? I mean, I find this also very weird because Cookie, for example, is body type around 16 to 18 years old. Around my age range. You could also say she 19, 20-year-olds could also look like her, or 21, depends. There's not that much of difference between 16 and 20 years old anymore when it comes to women and their outward appearance, except for how they clothe, what their style is, how they talk. But in general, they usually don't change anymore physically when they have reached puberty, or when puberty ends for women. And for women, puberty ends rather early. I think it was like already 14 or 15. It already ends, and for most, it doesn't prolong. No, hold up. It doesn't go until you're still 16 or something. So puberty for most girls ends with 14, 15, 16, and then you don't really change physically anymore. And Shinobu, I think, looks as if she has, well, finished puberty, compared to Collei, who looks like she is... I think she was also 14 or something like that, or younger. I mean, if we just look at her, yeah, she looks like... She doesn't look like a fully grown woman. I think Cookie could be. Shinhe and Miko, he didn't even mention, who definitely look like fully grown women. That is interesting. I mean, what I'm getting at is, okay, you can want to fuck whatever you want. Like, holy shit, it's your sexual desire for a goddamn video game character. But how the fuck is it everything? How is it literally children? How are you a pedophile, at the same time homosexual and straight, but only for young girls? With young girls, I don't mean children. I mean actually young girls. How is that possible? If you're a pedophile, well, you're a pedophile. I think if people judge you for being a pedophile, I also think that's wrong. Because you can't do anything about it. It's how you were born. But how can you be both a pedophile and a homosexual and someone who is like halfway straight? Let's say halfway, because he isn't really normally straight. Because normal straight would say Shinhe is hot, and he never mentioned anything about those character types. So I'm not going to assume that he likes those character types. How is that possible? I mean, I know there's bi, but bi just means, well, I don't care what gender there is, I think. I think at least. I'm not trying to maybe spread misinformation, but as far as I know, bi is like, I don't care as long as the personality is great and both sexual features can be attractive for the person. And you can have like a... You can still favor one over the other, but you find both sexually attractive. That would be bi. But he's like omni or something. Except women. Except actually grown women. It's... I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it makes no sense.
I don't know what to say to you, but like, yeah, I want to fuck a bunch of the characters. So, I mean,
yeah, but that's also a bit degen if you say, I want to fuck him and her and him and her and also her and her.
and you can see that ass.
Oh, he yeah,
question
Silver
then
is. I mean, Silver Wolf also looks like 16.
at that point is, if the individuals who see those disagree and dislike, yeah, you can hit don't recommend channel, don't recommend short screen channel, which is perfectly fine. I do that too. Yada yada. Why do they then choose to decide I'm going to comment this? Like suddenly
Of course you can comment this. Freedom of speech, why not?
that's going to change my opinion.
I mean, the thing is, you say, why are they commenting this? Well, why shouldn't they? They are allowed to, and they want to. They feel annoyed by it, and they're going to comment. When I see misinformation, I'm also going to comment. Well, this is not misinformation we are talking about, but it's just you are allowed to comment. Why aren't you going to do that then? I mean, yeah, actually, I don't know. It's fine.
Oh my god. Why is actually no better question? Why is Gyugyu and Fushuan considered children despite both of them having 4-ass working jobs?
Okay, this is just stupid. Let's just say she's 500 years old. Nida's 500 years old. Or if we were to take it even further, oh, Nahida is actually even older than that, because she's the same person, right? She only got younger later on, but well, she is a goddess. She has been living for multiple millennia before she shrunk herself 500 years ago into a, I don't know, how do you call it? Into a state of, what? Oh, right, they do the wow face, right? Ah, yeah, they do. I forgot that this was a feature. Lollies make a wow face when you turn around really quick after sprinting. Don't they? Hold up. Yeah, they do. I don't know why they do that. I just found out in a shot. Anyhow. What was the argument?
And being involved in a
Yeah, just because you are working, it does not mean that you are an adult. And pedophilia only describes the sexual desire, or in general the sexual attraction to features that are pre-puberty features, so to speak. So that are features that children usually have, like Nahida. She is a child. If she isn't considered a child because she is, if you're going to take it seriously, indeed way older than most characters, but she is still in a child's body. It is still a child's body, and therefore if you're attracted to that, you aren't attracted to a personality. Yes, you can be attracted to a personality, but the one most attractive thing about a person is oftentimes the looks. The sexual attraction, at least, is for especially for men only visual. Da kennt sich jemand aus. Ja, ja. I mean, what are you getting more aroused by? A picture of a naked dude? Or whatever? Or a naked woman, whatever? Or a picture, or the sounds? Or maybe even just knowing that someone is kind? I don't know. Shit, I'd say a personality would always trump looks. I mean, in most cases, especially in this case, I would very much think that this comes from looks alone. He's also the one who said, well, I want Razor to rail me because you can see whatever's dangling there. So he's definitely talking about specific features. Things that you can see and that you can touch. So it's something physical, something from the outwards appearance and also what you're looking at. And, well, she isn't a child, but she's in a child's body, and what you're attracted to in this case is a child's body, therefore a child. And that is pedophilia, and many people have a problem with that. If you're attracted to, for example, Nahida, you're just as much attracted to a little child that looks just like Nahida. And that is, in that case, a child that you are finding sexually attractive, which is pedophilia. You are then a pedophile. Nothing else. Yes, you can be attracted to personality. And I think especially when it comes to women, they are more focused on personality than men are. but they are in general more selective, I think, than men. I think men in general feel feel a lot easier sexually attracted by things than women do. How can I base this claim? Well, fuck it, I don't. Just source, do trust me. But literally go around all the people in your area, and you can see that it's always the men who are a lot more down there than the women are. Yeah. So fact is, people just often... Hold up, what is going on?
Here's my thing. I don't just.
Hold up.
She has a.
Okay. And people do find it weird. And people are going to say that it's not okay because the difference between homosexuality and pedophilia is that one thing can be accepted socially and the other one cannot. Pedophilia cannot be socially accepted because a child in its premature state cannot actually have this specific kind of sexual love. And also because the age difference is just something else. It's just a different barrier than same-sex barrier. Same-sex barrier is a difference than 40-year-old on 6-year-old. That's just... Yeah. If you think about it, it's also harder to justify it, but it's still easy to harder to justify how homosexuality can be accepted while pedophilia cannot be accepted. But I think the main point would be a child is not able to actually love the way a matured man or woman or in general a matured human can love, and therefore this is not something that should be socially accepted. Because if you came with the argument of you cannot reproduce, then it would be the same with homosexuality, and that is accepted. So this argument cannot be the one that is working against it. Well, anyhow.
Arc in the goddamn game.
And yeah, because it is not socially accepted, pedophilia, to actually be that people actually do have those relationships, it also of course is frowned upon by other people. If it's not socially accepted, of course it's weird if someone openly constantly talks about them wanting to committing things that would be in real life, let's say, one of the most heinous crimes there are. I mean, in the end, if you are going to fuck a child, you are raping that child. You are doing that. And not just to a grown person, which is already bad enough, but to a child who isn't even capable of loving, who hasn't even experienced that, should not experience that at this age. What you are doing is one of the most heinous crimes that you can commit if it was to be made in real life. And you are fantasizing about it. You're openly talking about things that you want to do that would be highly illegal. I mean, it's also not socially accepted if you said, yeah, I want to take cocaine, I want to stab people, I want to do that, that's cool. And if that desire is actually there, if you just for a joke say, yeah, I'm gonna kill you or something, or I don't know how I can bring an example, but if you are going to say something in a joking manner, alright, that's fine. People know that it's a joke. But if you are seriously talking about you wanting to do that, it is implying that you would be willing to do that in real life, that you are actually having an attraction and a reasonable, or that you have a reason, that you have a motive to do so. And well, that's then a different thing than just saying, yeah, I'd like to do it with, I don't know, with fucking Yelan. Because that can be accepted. That is fine.
What the fuck is with that? How is, like, I don't give a shit about Taylor, but like, she has a.
Yeah? Okay, viel Spaß. Ja. Okay.
a full-ass job. So does Bronya. And there's a 50-50
Just because you have a job doesn't mean that... Having a job does not make you any more of an adult from the outward appearance. Just because you look, and just because you are fulfilling the role of an adult doesn't mean that you are an adult with the outward appearance of an adult. She is not an adult from the outward appearance. And as I said, pedophilia is something that is connected with the outward appearance. If you find Nahida attractive, that means that you also find other children attractive, meaning that you would also rail other children and find that attractive. And that is the problem. Not that they are children. Not that they are children themselves. That would also be a problem. That would, yeah, be actually exactly the same, basically.
shot. The people who say in the comment section would then consider Bronya a child. And it's like, why? My guy. What
Bronya? Who the fuck is Bronya, actually? Hold up a sec. I'm going to look that up. Bronya is a child. Oh, hold up. We're talking about this Bronya, probably, right? Yeah, this Bronya is also a child. But if we're talking about this one, I don't know if I would consider this one a child. I don't know. Hold up. Hold up. Like this. Alright. I mean, yeah, no, she is not a child, I think. I don't believe that you could classify this as a child. I mean, in the end, the reason why, for example, also from Rising of the Shield hero, Raftalia, isn't frowned upon as much as other things that is AI generated, is because she has at least the outward appearance of a, I don't know, matured person, of someone who is at least 16 to 18 years old. Because this is the appearance of someone who is not a child anymore. I mean, look at those fucking bonkers. That is not a child anymore. Yeah, she may be, I think, canonically speaking, 6 years old or something. Raftalia age, hold up. Oh, hold up, I don't have to type in that sus. Such a sus search bar. She's 10. Post-level age. But that's just the physical appearance, right? She only looks 10. And here she only looks 18 to 20, and in real life she is still 10. That's the thing. That's the difference. That's why it's more accepted. Even though she, in the end, is underage. It's accepted because she at least is in the fantasy story, someone who has the appearance of an 18-year-old. The reason also why we in general have this age of consent being 18 and all is because on average most people will become more mature at that age. Because humans, compared to people in fantasy stories, are going to mature at a similar rate compared to those in fantasy stories who can suddenly age by 10 years or age for 500 or not have their body age at all even though they are 500 years old, like Nahida. Alright, what else does he have to say?
your standard here? I'm so confused. The world that they come.
The standard is the outwards appearance. If you are genuinely confused by that, then you are either completely stupid or you are trying to act as if it was nothing.
From is like everyone ages super fucking slow, and then does that thereby make everybody a child? I'm kind of confused here. Like, they don't
What are you confused about? It's solely based on the appearance and the character.
even it's not about the age slow mentally. It's that like they just don't die for a really long time.
Yeah, it's not about the mental age, neither.
I'm so confused. I can just.
It's only by the outwards appearance relative to the human body and age.
Ramble on here because I have no idea what the fuck I want to do for an actual video. And I guess it's gonna come out soon. But like, I don't understand the qualifications that are made to consider an individual
outwards appearance.
Childlike, when everybody in the game basically has a full-ass working job except Hook. And that's it. Hook is like the only
The way you look like, right?
exception to that working job. We're not going through the roster here. Like, I'm just looking at
Nobody ever said something about working job. No one ever said something about the actual age.
the characters I want to smash. So Wolf,
The reason why people say lolly, or even there's even this one term called lolly baba. Oh, hold up. Lolly baba, I think it was called. In Rising of the Shield Hero, I read this once. There was this term called lolly baba, which refers to an old woman who looks very young. Again, lolly just means a young child, a little girl. A little girl. And a lolly baba is like an old woman. Baba, I think, is something around the same thing as a very old woman who then looks like a child. It is, in the end, only the appearance that we are describing that is being criticized.
Fu Xuan, Bailu, Lynx, the Clara. I can go, technically Yanqing, Jing Liu would throw her in there. She's in the variety. QQ, like all of these characters,
Isn't this like a guy?
to a degree, have a job. You can say, yeah, Clara doesn't. Okay,
I mean, Jing Liu is also literally has an adult appearance. Willst du es ganz uncut auf YouTube posten? Ja.
take her out. Now you slide in somebody else. Arlen. Maybe you don't slide him in. Maybe you go with literally anyone else in the roster, and someone's gonna have an issue. Like Yanqing is a lieutenant in the army. QQ is a gambling addict with a full-time job. What is the qualification? Is it like you're short? Oh my god, I feel so bad for short people in
No, it's not about being short, it's about looking like a child. And one of the qualifications is being short.
general. Then, if the only qualification to be considered a child is that you just happen to be short, then I guess your parents really, really just messed your life up because they just had bad.
No, your parents left.
Genes say no.
Your parents messed up your life because you don't even know what it means to be a pedophile and why it is not socially accepted. Okay, I think that's enough. Rainworld noch, surely. Surely, ich hab nicht mal Dailies gemacht. Okay, I think that's enough for today. Way too long. Never mind. Wasn't expecting to yap this much and have this much trouble yapping. I guess. Conclusion. This guy's Genshin Impact content is mediocre at best. And yeah, I mean, now I'm not even all that surprised anymore that his guides are this trash, because he doesn't even know what the difference is between why he doesn't even know why people think pedophilia is a bad thing. He doesn't even know why that is, which is one of the most obvious things that should come to your mind. And this lack of intelligence can be seen in his guides and how he's also making his videos. Way too surface level. His information are all surface level, are all not really relevant. They are very degenerated. What is this? Choose your preferred variety of pink to take home. He's talking about fucking. Choose your bedroom companions. Those are children, again. Those are children. He wants to rail them. He wants to... Bro. Yeah. Fox mating session. What the fuck? And he doesn't even really know... I mean, either he doesn't know enough about this game, or he is just intentionally leaving out information. And he isn't researching his videos enough. So when it comes to as I said, when it comes to Genshin content, mediocre information, mediocre guides, and when it comes to his takes, well, they are bad and he doesn't know what is criticized about them. That's sad. Probably one of my most unnecessary videos ever, but I thought that it was nice to talk about it. So yeah.